morning, all you strange and wonderful weirdos. I'm John.
And I'm Stacey.
It's Thursday, October 20th, and here's why today is strange.
All right, so let's start with a really interesting interview on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Mr. Rogansky. Loves me some Joe Rogans.
Yes, so this was with former U.S. Navy pilot Ryan Graves. And he gave a detailed description of regular encounters that flight teams had had with a black box UFO that they were seeing every day. So the interview started, and it was very serious.
Right.
And he started off giving, Ryan Graves, that is, started off giving his credentials, saying, you know, how he studied mechanical and aerospace engineering. And after he graduated college, he started flying F-18s for the Navy. And he talked about how multiple pilots repeatedly witnessed strange UFO phenomena on their equipment, and as well as seeing it with their own eyes, starting roughly around late 2013. Beginning of 2000.
What's the reason for that?
Now, he said that the reason for that was that this was about the time that their aircraft and their radar systems received upgrades. Yes. And so I guess before that, maybe they were seeing things, but it wasn't being caught on the equipment.
Yeah.
And now it was this, I mean, a major upgrade, like a big difference.
Yeah, like, I'll take the UFO version of the radar, please, sir.
Yes, I would like that super detailed digital enhanced stuff.
Yeah, no need for that non-UFO version.
Right.
How much you want to bet the Air Force is kind of like, well, we're going to put that old stuff back in.
Makes you wonder what they would have caught had they had the good stuff the whole time.
Absolutely.
So Rogan was asking him, you know, how did that make everybody feel? You know, all of a sudden you're seeing these things, you're recording them, you're seeing them every day. What did everybody think? And so Graves replied that they didn't really have a ton of questions until this one particular incident happened, where there were two aircrafts from his squadron, and he was not flying, but two from his squadron, and they were flying in a formation, like one in front, one in back. And as they were flying, one of these strange objects flew right in between them. And the pilot in the front saw it, and the pilot in the back did not. Now, he said that's not unusual because the one in the back's focusing more on flying in formation and not really looking around.
Right.
And the one in the front has that leeway. But it was caught, and he did see it. And when he got back, he said, look, I nearly flew into one of those things. And everybody knew what he was talking about. Like, he didn't even have to specify that he saw a UFO.
Everybody knew already.
Yeah, knew what he was talking about.
Because they've seen the same thing.
Yes. And he said that it was basically a cube, a black or dark gray cube inside of a translucent sphere. And essentially
Do you think it was like a shield?
Corners, possibly, I suppose. The corners of the cube were touching the inside of like that translucent sphere. And that's what it looked like. And this was not surprising to him. Like, it was surprising when it flew by him, but they had seen it repeatedly.
So did they say how big this was? I mean,
I don't think that he gave like an estimate.
I mean, are you thinking drone from somewhere else?
I
or
believe that
intelligently
their initial thought was maybe this was something that we had that was secret. Like, they didn't initially go, oh, look, that's a UFO carrying aliens. They were like, perhaps this is some kind of secret technology that we're working on, and that's why it's flying around our planes.
Not ours, pal.
But, it was the security issue.
Yeah.
Because it was flying so close to the planes.
The guys had to start wearing Pampers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, it was such a common occurrence. Now, Ryan Graves, another thing they were talking about, is part of this program, this American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Now, this is a group that was founded in 1963. It's about 30,000 members strong. Yes. And all of these members are drawn from like aerospace contractors, government agencies.
Fancy.
Yes. Think
smart.
Tanks, very smart people. And Ryan Graves is co-chairing the AIAA's Unidentified Aerospace Phenomena Community of Interest. Now, they are starting an initiative where they are getting in on the UAP studies. Now, we've heard about the Pentagon doing theirs. There's called the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. That's the Pentagon's, because they're doing the UAPs and the undersea ones,
Right.
And of course, NASA announced that they were going to start doing their UAP study. So now the AIAA has said that they are going to announce their own initiative this week. And they're basically going to focus on the flight safety issue of it, having unidentified, unannounced craft flying into protected military airspace and getting dangerously close to commercial
So maybe
flight.
these guys are going to be the expert, help to some of these buffoons that are doing it,
Right.
kind of like at the hearings. And it's, are you familiar with that, sir? We could talk about it in a closed session.
The hearings.
Well, what about that? Well, we could talk about that in a closed session. I think that would be good for the closed session, Senator.
Yes.
Sorry, Senator. No, Senator. I've never heard of that. Is that the most third famous case ever? No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
UAPs with this new group is going to be like UFOs are pretentious.
Here, I
because
have
it's
this
like the
video.
smartest.
See this tiny dot here?
Yeah. Well, when they couldn't get like fast forward to work.
Right.
Can we freeze frame this? This right here. hold on just a moment. Technology.
We're so advanced.
It's that pause button.
Yeah.
The-
They can't get the video to work, and we're supposed to believe that this is our secret technology that's flying around.
Pause with that alien language to 2 slashes. Can you push that button? Want to see? Well, that's close enough. You seen it go by a second ago.
Right.
And here's the cockpit window now. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
It was an embarrassment to me tuning into it because of all the people who have seen so much well-documented encounters out there. Many of you, I'm sure, have had your own encounters or have followed along with this. People like, well, I know you're going to talk about this a little bit, but the Black Vault, John Greenwald, he's got another big dump of information from his nonstop.
From his nonstop FOIA request. They love him, I bet.
Oh, I'm sure they love him.
Yes, he does have an article on there if you go to blackvault.com, and he started it back in May, where every time they actually release something to him, he just sort of updates that one article. So it's all in one
Yeah, but
place.
there's a fresh dump.
Yeah, there's
And
a fresh dump in there. It has a couple of videos.
Some fresh videos and stuff. Let us know if you find anything in those. There's a lot. There's always a lot of information. And the whole thing about this, Stacey and I going through on our shortwave radio talking to our friend Tim in the mountains of Tahiti. Is there mountains in Tahiti?
I have no idea.
Well, anyway, he's in a secret location. No, we wish we had a shortwave radio.
Right.
We would do it old school like that too. But UFO Twitter is our shortwave radio. Reddit, that's our shortwave radio. Some of those subs on there. And the thing about it is you're still getting a lot of chatter, right? So there is a lot of chatter right now. We joked about it the other day, almost to disclosure, right? But we're seeing a lot. Right. The stories that I bring to the table for this show and for the side show, the stories that she brings to the table, we're both seeing like whistleblowers. And things that's going to be whistleblower. It keeps coming up, doesn't it?
Yes. New hearings.
Yeah.
New report.
Right.
Whistleblowers being encouraged and protected.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. So something, a lot of people are saying expect something soon.
Yes.
So we're very excited. Every day we're kind of like, is it today? Yes. And things like Fancy Pants here, going on Joe Rogan, being a very serious interview. And this guy's a real deal. This guy's like Top Gun level.
Yes.
He teaches the class.
Very well spoken.
Yeah. He teaches the class. Perfect guy to come out and talk about this and say, yeah, I seen this thing.
Yes.
Coming through. And come on, that's insane what he did see. Because if our guys was to do that, we would turn into ragu.
Right. Right.
So whatever's happening up there, it's this is a crazy time we're living in.
It is. I agree. So let's move on.
All
right. So let's talk about a really cool discovery of the first known map of the night sky that was found hidden in a medieval parchment.
What?
Yes. So this is a story that started back in 2012. Now, back in
Good year 2012. That's when the world actually ended. And
right.
This is all kind of a simulation we're living in to pacify us. It was a lot. It was hard to process us all to heaven at the same time. So they're like, put them in that fake universe. They'll never figure it out. Yeah, God, there might be a glitch here and there. That they'll never figure anything out.
So this is a medieval parchment from a monastery in Egypt. And it's a Christian text, but it's one of those codices. It's called the Codex Climaci Rescriptus. And it's basically a collection of Syriac texts, that's hard to say, written in the 10th or 11th centuries. But what this is it's a palimpsest, which means it's parchment that's scraped off and reused.
Right.
So there's old writing underneath the current writing. So back in 2012, a biblical scholar named Peter Williams, he's from the University of Cambridge, he asked his students as part of a summer project to study the pages and see if they could see, what they thought they saw in the older writing. Now, one of the students named Jamie Clare unexpectedly spotted a passage in Greek and pointed it out to his professor. So Williams had...
He said, Professor, do you understand this? He said, it's Greek to me.
It's Greek to me. I knew that was coming. In 2017, the pages were reanalyzed using a more state-of-the-art multispectral imaging.
And a Greek guy.
Yes. Well, yes, that'll come into play.
The Greek interpreter, one of the Sherlock Holmes' best stories.
So then Professor Williams, during the lockdown, decided to take a really close look at all the imaging that happened in 2017. He had a little time on his hands. And as he was looking at it, something very strange popped out. And he said it was immediately clear that they had star coordinates.
Sorry, it was a lockdown. I was thinking about how many strange things popped out from during the lockdown.
There was a passage that he knew was star coordinates. So he called some of his colleagues at the Sorbonne University in Paris, and they were able to translate and decipher it. It's about a page long, and it states the length and breadth in degrees of the constellation Corona Borealis, which is the Northern Crown, and it gives the coordinates for the stars at the extreme north, south, east, and west. And they're believing that this is part of the long-lost star catalog of the astronomer Hipparchus. Now, they've been searching for this for centuries.
Yeah.
He's believed to be the earliest known, attempt to actually map stars.
Known.
Yes.
Or appreciated as known, because there's other star charts out there.
Now, Hipparchus is, father of trigonometry, he did tons of stuff in this field. And they didn't realize that he had done this that early, but they knew that he was a source because of the way the data was expressed and the precision of the measurements. And they were able to roll back the time in the sky, to where the stars were.
Yeah.
And it turns out it roughly fit about 129 BC, which is when he was doing his work.
Shouldn't really have been possible, should it?
You wouldn't think so.
That's some high level. Mm-hmm. That's almost like Pinky Club there.
Well, he was considered the greatest astronomer of ancient Greece.
Yeah, look, I understand we had no street lamps.
Right.
Sky looked a lot clearer, and you didn't have TV. Everybody's like, why were they looking at the stars?
Right.
The hell else are they going to look at? What the hell else?
True, but
they didn't go to bed as the sun went down.
It's a very important find just because it, dates that back. So
yeah, it's amazing. That's amazing. That really is amazing. All joking aside, I like the jest, whatever, but that's cool.
And it was found completely by accident because what they really thought the students were going to see were older Christian texts.
Yeah.
They had no idea that this was going to be there and where it had been lost.
So they're basically reusing stuff, and it's essentially like in the early days, this is a crazy comparison, but in the early days of TV, like local television, say you had a local pro wrestling show,
right?
You would tape it on the Betamax back then, and instead of saving the tapes, which would be worth millions now,
they were very expensive. I think
they would reuse those tapes, week after week after week. If only there was a way to remove like layer after layer, but that and like ancient paintings, that's one of my favorite things is the fact that so many paintings have a lot of stuff underneath.
Yes, and I love the paintings because they would just paint over it and then paint over it again, so you could essentially just take the layers off and find
and
the old stuff. It's so cool.
There's still a lot of hidden stuff out there, a lot of hidden knowledge because I don't know. Maybe you would have got burned at the stake back then for the wrong kind of, opinions.
The problem with the painting thing is you kind of have to destroy the painting that's on there to get to the older painting. And you don't really know if it's down there. And it's a chance. It's risk.
Listen, man, we can copy things so well now.
It's like, just photocopy that and go for it.
Give me control for one day. One day.
Be blowing stuff up.
One day. You'll have something. You'll never miss the pyramid.
You'll know what's in the pyramid.
You will never miss the pyramid. I will put the nicest thing there you've ever seen. I'll make it all mystical.
Build a reconstruction.
But you won't have to worry about it because what we find in the pyramid and the surrounding 10-mile square radius that I blow to hell just to get down to the bottom. I mean, come on.
I don't think you're ingratiating yourselves.
Yeah, you know what?
Anybody?
Maybe I am. Maybe there's somebody out there going, that crazy white cracker's got a point.
Yeah, blow it up.
I'm calling him right now. We need somebody to push the button.
Wow.
I would serve the jail time.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Okay, so let's talk about some mysterious GPS disruptions that have spread across Texas. And the FAA has issued a warning to pilots. Isn't that very strange? So the Federal Aviation Administration this week warned pilots about a mysterious disruptions to GPS signals in Texas, and they shut down one of the runways at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport.
Sunspots maybe, or solar flares?
They have no idea. Now, the FAA told Bloomberg that they're investigating possible jamming of the GPS system, but they have found no evidence of intentional interference. So they still have no idea what might be the cause. Now, another thing that makes this a little bit weird is back in January, officials in Denver issued an alert that the GPS there was also wonky within like a 50-mile radius of the airport.
Well, if you remember correctly, we had the big mysterious drones that were going up through Canada and coming down. We never got a report on those.
No, and they never did find the cause of the Denver GPS interference either. Now, funny enough is the airport isn't the one that first mentioned this. The first person that reported it was a flight tracking website called ADS-B. And they were the first ones to report the interference. And then the next day they reported that it also spread out near Waco and near the Fort Hood military base. So, they say it's pretty unusual for that area without prior notice. I guess maybe sometimes they'll do that as a test. But now GPS notoriously is not, if there's not a backup, it can be messed with. And then anything that doesn't have a backup system is gonna be messed up. Radios.
So it's not completely unheard of, but they've looked into this one and they don't know why
there's
it happened.
no cause. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They have no idea what
can happen.
It's not
but they should have known about it.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, they consider GPS a vulnerability. Things like wireless and cell service providers have backups, so those are fine. But it does mess with navigational systems, and even I
don't want to be in a plane when we do get the big Earth-facing solar flare CME.
Right.
Like the planet killer one, as they like to term it, because GPS. It's not like we're all going to burn alive right then. It's going to be worse.
Yeah.
We're going to have the GPS go out, electricity go out, all the grids blow out all at once. I mean, even 3 weeks, you don't want to be in a big city.
Right.
3 weeks without gas or food or water or anything like that. Yeah. This place could go Walking Dead really quick.
Yes. I mean, if something like that happened, wouldn't the planes just immediately...
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
They'd be able to land some of them in some places, but there's a lot of electronics.
Yeah, it's an issue. All right, let's move on.
Enjoy your flight while you're listening to Today is Strange.
As you're listening on the plane.
The views and opinions of Stacey Edwards are not necessarily those.
It was just a question. All right, so let's talk about a Medina County couple who found an underground cavern on their property.
Oh, that's always nice.
Yes, this is from Texas. Don and Debbie Davis.
Maybe that's what happened to the GPS.
They own a ranch in northwestern Medina County, and they discovered an enormous cavern on their property. Now, what they're doing is they're trying to place their ranch.
I don't know how they found that. They were out like messing with the farm or something, and just hear
cows down in the hole. They're placing their ranch on a conservation easement. They're trying to get conservation easement for the preservation of the water supply that's on their land. And so they had Edwards Aquifer Authority come out to look at the land, and they found like a depression that no one had ever seen before. And it was sort of back in a thick clump of brush. They didn't really go back in that area, but when they went back there to check it out, there was actually a sinkhole and a tiny opening. And when they opened the opening up, they had some cavers come out, Bexar Grotto. It's a group of cavers came out. They opened up the opening. They sent the cavers down in there, and there's a 60-foot wide cavern with a 120-foot high ceiling. The place is humongous.
Wow.
It is a huge cavern. They explored the whole area. It's pretty in there. It's like going in like Bristol Cavern.
So they explored it though. I mean,
they explored it.
They didn't
somewhat.
find any.
So not so far. I mean, they didn't go all the way through. Obviously, it's a very big
I'm always
cave
excited when we
system.
find these things.
Yeah, they just went into the large main room. And the family said that they don't plan on opening the cavern to the public, like making it a site or whatever, but they're going to make sure it's preserved. I guess they're going to have the caving team explore further and see how far it goes. I don't think it's really unusual to find caves and caverns in that area, but wow, it's a good thing. I mean, there was already a sinkhole. I think it's probably a good thing that they found it, because you never know. Right into that cavern.
Well, the way people steal water too, without you knowing it off your land, it could have been an underground lake or something beforehand. It's really a problem. That happens. It's almost bigger than stealing someone's oil.
If I found a big cavern like that on my land, I don't know if I would open it to the public or if I would make myself a little like place to live down there.
Bug out place?
Yeah, like a little. That'd be
the first
pretty
thing
cool.
I would do would be look for all the stuff that's probably down there. And
Right, obviously.
Yeah. So
Name all the stalagmites and the stalactites, the ones that look like things. They always do that in caverns. They're like, this is the bacon.
I'll let you
These
do
are the
naming.
eggs.
You go ahead and do the naming, and I'll find the.
That was my favorite part when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We'd go through and they'd be like, oh, this is the old lady, and they'd like point it with the flashlight. I love that part.
My favorite part was like the mystical feel, and
Yes, that too.
but the naming was cool.
The naming was fun. I just like finding shapes and things. I can't help it. It's a thing.
Moving on.
All right, so let's move on. So this last story is about a woman who's been charged. That didn't make any sense. With multiple assault and battery charges for allegedly releasing a swarm of bees on a group of sheriff's deputies. Okay, so this is from Springfield, Massachusetts. Now, these sheriff's deputies, they were going to a home to serve an eviction notice. And apparently these people were not happy about going to be evicted.
These poor
I guess
guys
they called
are like
somebody.
working on a Saturday morning.
They called this woman named Rory Woods. So Rory Woods comes pulling up in an SUV, towing a trailer that was carrying beehives. She gets out of the SUV wearing full beekeeper costume, goes to the back, shakes the hives real good, breaks the top of one of them, and the bees swarm out and start stinging the deputies.
Oh my.
Some of the deputies were allergic,
Yeah.
and they had to go to the hospital.
So she's attempted murder right now?
Not yet. No, because nobody died. Everybody was fine. They are just saying assault and battery charges. They did arrest her. There's a picture of her in her beekeeper outfit being arrested.
They arrest the bees?
No, they did not arrest the bees. I believe they were probably harmless in this. She did aggravate the bees.
The bees, what makes me pissed off about that is they're so endangered. I mean, we need them so badly, and here she is.
Right, here she is riling them up.
Here
and
she is raising like rogue gangs
She's
of
using them
honeybees,
Well, and one thing that didn't help her is she was told that several of the officers were allergic to bees, and she said, "Oh, you're allergic? Good."
All right.
So I'm not sure how she's going to get out of this or what's going to happen.
Thanks, Karen.
She'll have to go back to court. I believe they did release her without bail right now, but she'll have to go back and answer for her alleged assault and battery. It's not alleged. I mean, they all saw her do it. She shook the hives.
I mean,
I don't know how alleged that is.
My God.
Yes.
I mean, wow. That's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. You think she hands out business cards? Going to be evicted? Call me.
I mean, I believe it, though. I believe it. Speaking of strange, I used to run collections in the mountains and the hills of Tennessee. And there's nothing funner than coming out, wearing my suit and tie, rolling into, like, honestly, it was really close to where the original Evil Dead was filmed, the cabin. I was out there. And Del Rio, anybody who knows, you know. You know Popcorn, the moonshiner, right? Yeah, that's his territory. There was legitimate houses of ill repute on the road there and everything. I go out there. Somebody knew I was coming. I was picking up their washer and dryer, my washer and dryer for the company I worked for long time ago. And they had what they called a gunpowder dog because they fed it gunpowder. Because it makes it meaner. And I don't know if this dog needed to be meaner. Ever. And they had it tied with a logging chain to the appliances. The appliances they had both defecated in. So that was indeed why I believe the beekeeper story. But you better believe this, because it's Thursday. Tomorrow, it's Scarefest. We even got our cool little cards that we will have. You're exclusive. You come by and see us this weekend, you'll get to enjoy this, and we'll give you one of these little fine doodaddies here because we got some facts. Some exclusive facts
for Scarefest.
On the back for Scarefest that we have October 21st, 22nd, 23rd, all on here. And a little fun fact at the end there. We'll give these out. We're going to have our book there for sale. We're going to have my lap for you to sit on or whatever else you want to do because it's all about you. You can find us over in that starry section of Paranormal, and we'll be having all kinds of fun, even with our new banners. We'll have our Paranormal Sideshow, which if you guys don't watch Sideshow, you need to watch Sideshow.
Yes.
And there's a new one, hint, 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 coming out this week. So it's been a long time. We had to get Today is Strange launched. We love every one of you. Just wanted to do that. Join our socials. Tell a friend. Tell an enemy. And listen, all of this is why Today is Strange.